We all leave our footprint behind when we walk on this planet Earth, and they all disappear into oblivion sooner or later. But some footsteps stay for a long time to inspire future generations. Today I am on a journey to find one such footstep. This journey is through the treeless volcanic plains of Melbourne's western suburbs. Before I reveal my destination, I will dig a little of its history. The news of discovery of gold in Victoria in 1851 spread like wildfire. From around the globe, fortune seekers descended on the shores of Australia. The once isolated roads between Castlemaine and Bendigo became lined with travellers, wagons, bullock teams, horses and tents. Hotels and food stalls flourished, rooming houses multiplied and merchants sold all sorts of wares. One significant stopover became known as Diggers Rest. Today we are heading to Diggers Rest to know about a man of contradictions. He is the most famous illusionist the world has ever seen. But he is remembered here for being the first man to fly a powered, controlled, sustained flight of an aircraft in Australia. He is none other than the great escapologist Harry Houdini, who shipped his Voisin biplane to Australia in 1910, planning to become the first to fly here. He erected a tent in Plumpton's field at Diggers Rest under which his mechanic Antonio Braz-Sack assembled the plane. Aircrafts were in its infancy, and flying was still a life and death adventure, which attracted the world-famous escape artist Harry Houdini to the thrill of flying an aircraft. Just 6 years before, on December 17, 1903, two brothers, Wilbur and Orville Wright, made 4 brief flights at Kitty Hawk, a powered aircraft the duo invented. 36-year-old Houdini arrived in Melbourne on the 6th of February 1910, accompanied by his wife of 16 years, Wilhelmina Beatrice Ronner, better known as Bess Houdini. She was also his stage assistant. She was the only one who knew all his secrets about his performances. Houdini never preferred to call himself a magician, as magicians were too common everywhere. "If I might be allowed to coin a word, I would call myself an escapologist," he once said. Houdini's first program was at New Opera House in Melbourne on the 7th of February 1910. He was part of a long program of songs, dances and comedy sketches. He performed his trunk substitution fate, full tide, escaping from a sack, which was put in a trunk that was nailed and sealed. After which he performed straitjacket escape. On the 16th of February, as advertised, Houdini dived into Yarra River from the Queensbridge in the city, padlocked and chained, only to resurface, holding the chains in one hand and smiling. A large crowd of around 20,000 witnessed the event. Houdini had brought with him from Germany a Voisin flying machine. Before coming to Melbourne, Houdini, without assistance, tried the machine at Hamburg-Wandsbek, in Germany, in an 18 minutes flight, and went to a height of 80 feet. He purchased a French Voisin biplane for 25,000 francs, and hired a full-time mechanic, Antonio Braz-Sack. The flying machine was a standard Voisin with a 60 HP ENU engine. Houdini shipped it to Australia in February 1910, and stored the plane in a tent at Diggers Rest. He waited nearly a month for a wind-free day, and on the 18th of March 1910, he made 3 short flights, and entered into the history books of Australia. At Diggers Rest, Houdini practiced for more than a month. He has motored daily to the flying field, but only 2 or 3 times has the weather allowed even an attempt at rising to be made. "Why you are so quiet about your flying experience?" asked one news reporter to Houdini. "Mr. Houdini laughed. "Performances first," he said. "Do you remember how Wilbur Wright put it? We are the bird men, and the bird which talks best, and flies worst is the parrot. I wouldn't like Wilbur Wright to class me as a parrot," Houdini said to the reporter. Houdini was a man of contradictions. He has given lectures around America on superstitions and unsubstantiated beliefs, but he was himself superstitious, and hated and avoided number 13 as much as he could. He scoffed at locks and proved himself fearless, yet he double-locked his home door, and fastened with a chain. He could not take any jokes on his magic skills. He was too absent-minded. He could remember thousands of details during his performances, but would walk out of a restaurant forgetting to pay. He was too absent-minded to drive an automobile without a chauffeur, but he could fly because flying absorbed him. In 2010, on the 100-year anniversary of his flight, a monument was erected in Diggers Rest dedicated to the flight. It is debatable whether Houdini was the first man to fly powered aircraft in Australia. Aviation experts credit trained pilot and Londoner Colin Defies, who on December 9, 1909 took off at Victoria Park Racecourse in Sydney in a Wilbur Wright aeroplane, to be the first man to fly an aircraft in Australia. But Houdini was a good publicist and a performer, so his try at fame still remains in Australian record books.